All right, everybody, welcome to Season 2 of Green Theory. We have changed the name of the podcast since Season 1. Thank you, Fault, for coming up with the name. I am CT Gravestone, CT3610.
All right, I'll start.
I am CT Clamp 1695.
I'm Lieutenant Fault, CT2502.
I'm Lance Corporal Frogger, CT9075.
I am Lance Corporal Stalker, CT1832.
All right. Now, the first thing on the list, we have a Would You Rather. Would you rather be a First Order Stormtrooper or an Imperial Stormtrooper, and why?
I guess I would choose Imperial Stormtrooper. It just felt like, they had a better grips on the galaxy, and odds were, seeing how many there were, I'd probably be put on a better planet than like some outer rim, middle of nowhere place.
Yeah, it'd probably be better than ending up on like Jabeam or something as a First Order Stormtrooper.
I think I'd probably go First Order because they got like better armor. I think it looks nicer. I want to look more drippy.
First Order, probably, just most advanced tech.
Do we have information whether the first and what each of those troops get paid?
The Imperial
Because
troops...
I know the Stormtroopers got paid.
Yes, the Imperial
Empire.
Stormtroopers got paid, but I think because the First Order troopers were kidnapped as children, they were paid a lot less than the Imperial Stormtroopers.
Yeah, I think probably because they were partially indoctrinated in the First Order.
Yes.
So it was probably easier for you to just kind of like defect from the Empire, as we saw in what movie was that?
That we never saw any Imperial defectors, did we?
The people who ride the horses in Episode 8
Yes.
that we saw on like the planet with the wrecked Death Star pieces.
That was Episode 9, but yeah, we did see them. Though, weren't they First Order deserters same as Finn? Because the Empire was defeated by the time they were born, most likely.
Yeah, I don't remember hearing about any other defectors apart from Finn.
Yeah, that's my point.
Although,
Wait. No, there was other defectors because the people on the planet where the Death Star was, that was an entire planet full of defectors from the First Order. You not remember that? They had like a little tribe and it was all a bunch of stormtroopers.
Well, yes, but...
And don't we have
I
a
mean, there
video
weren't that
game?
many people in Episode 9 didn't have that many people who were like that.
But isn't there a video game where you play as a stormtrooper defector?
Yes, Battlefront 2's campaign, you play as an Imperial defector.
They do the same thing in Star Wars Squadrons.
Now, here's one thing that the payment question asked made me think of. Which one has better benefits? Because like when I'm not fighting, I'm gonna have to be living a normal life. Which one do you think is beneficial?
Empire, you could get like your family could get benefits too if you were to like die or something like that. Whereas like the First Order, like
You're just a kidnapper. You're just there. You don't want a family.
Yeah.
But like, if I get a cavity, who's gonna pay for the root canal? Like,
Because the Imperial Stormtroopers all were volunteers and extremely trained members and chose to be there, they got much better benefits than the kidnapped children that was the First Order Stormtrooper Corps. But
we don't need to give people benefits if they don't know anything else.
Exactly.
True.
At the same time, the First Order had a lot less people, so they would have to take much better care of them.
So who do we think had the better benefit?
I'm still voting Imperial.
I think I still have to go with Empire.
Yeah, I think the Empire, got to take care of the children,
It's like the Empire didn't do the greatest job, but it's not like they were... I don't think they were like fighting all the time to the same extent as like the clones.
I mean, the Empire was for like 20 years just life. And
I mean, they rotate people to different posts, so it's not like you'd be the same place forever.
Yeah.
either, so
And
your
not
chances of
roll-
dying aren't always that high.
Yeah. And not every role had like rebels, banging on your front door.
Yeah, because the rebel movement wasn't actually that big. Like, there's not that many of them.
Exactly.
I think like all there really is it basically just their little bass song Yavin was about how much they had, just all we ever seen, like all those scenes.
Yeah,
Very
they were,
small.
and they were probably, yeah.
I mean, think of it this way: they only had like a few capital ships, maybe like 3 or 4, and then they had like squadrons of X-wings, and that's about it. They weren't that big, and they had like some smaller cruisers and stuff like that. But they weren't huge.
They were mostly focused guerrilla tactics and like behind the scenes stuff rather than true like combat between the two forces.
Now, even that, think about it. How many Imperial stormtroopers actually saw combat?
Not as much.
Well, because a lot of the combat we see is what? Naval combat?
A lot of the combat.
Well, a lot of
combat fighting because
We don't, yeah, so we don't see stormtroopers. We don't see like stormtroopers on the ground very much.
Yeah.
There's like 4 Mimbans. There's like 4 wet weather stormtroopers in Solo.
Yeah.
But that's because stormtroopers, they are the elite of the Imperial Army.
Yeah, most people don't think about it, but because of
Whereas-
the movies are where they're
Yeah.
showing all these main characters, and we see the stormtroopers and everything because they're in big, highly important places.
Yeah, but with the first
Kinda like
order,
the,
with the first order, their stormtroopers are their fighting force. There isn't anything else.
Yeah,
It's kind of like the whole thing with the super battle droids, how like the movies and stuff make the super battle droids out to seem like just a minor inconvenience, whereas like in the actual like Star Wars canon, they're absolutely terrifying behemoths.
yes, and the games make it demonstrate that even more so. Like playing through what is it?
Republic Mando.
Yeah, Republic Commando. That is so hard to beat the super battle droids.
You need like your entire squad targeting them.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I managed to defeat one of them by myself, but it took me a good 2 minutes.
But we're used to seeing like the heroes go up against them, like Jedi,
Jedi's.
Solo with a luck stat of like 37.
Well, even if you read one of the Thrawn books, they end up on Sereno, where a Duke is
those
from.
aren't even B2s,
and there's-
those would be 3.
Yeah, and there's a big scene where they're fighting like B2s and the new like B3 thing.
Well, they were fighting the CB3, which is a variant that they declined to use because of how
It was too expensive.
Cortosis was. The primary B3 was the Ultra Battle Droid, or Avatar 7, and that was a 4-meter tall behemoth with gravity well projectors that could take on multiple council members and still win.
Like in the Star Wars books,
sounds terrifying.
droids are actually a problem. Unlike shows where droids just kind of get whacked,
That's not.
And that's the same
kinda
thing
get
with
kicked around.
the same thing with the stormtroopers. Like at that time, I think Palpatine made it illegal for you to have I'm going to use modern terms here because I don't know the proper terms of the Star Wars universe, but didn't he ban like weapons up to a certain caliber that couldn't pierce the stormtrooper's armor?
Yeah.
So
He banned most all weapons.
No disintegrations.
Yeah.
and then not only that, stormtroopers have like a Call of Duty crosshair in their helmets, don't they?
No, the Imperial
Yeah,
Stormtroopers.
they've got-
The Imperial Stormtroopers didn't have the fancy thing. They didn't have anything that connected their helmet to their blaster. The First Order did have that, however.
I thought I read that in a Star Wars thing.
Yeah, no, there's
They have a HUD. It's just not connected to their blaster.
yeah. So that's one of the issues with the Imperial Stormtroopers is their HUD is separated from their blaster HUD.
So I guess the question is for the would you rather like choose a nice, secure, safe job with benefits and like benefits for your kids, or how do we describe the first one?
Autocracy.
Slavery as a soldier.
I call it. I think it's a what's it called? An oligarchy?
Yeah.
So, would you rather be a well-valued special forces soldier or soldier to him?
Would you rather be a volunteer or a slave?
I think I would
Yeah, I
go with
still
the
cast my final vote with Empire.
Empire.
I want the dental.
Incidental. Went back to that. You know, your root canals.
Hey man, I have really messed up teeth. All right,
So do I.
I could
Right.
definitely use.
Frogger and Stalker, did we change your mind with all this discussion?
Yes, yes.
My thought has been swayed quite largely.
So you both are saying Empire instead of First Order now?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
need my root canals.
Alright, so we've got a unanimous vote for Imperials. Alright, we're going to move on to the next segment, which is a tier list. And keep in mind that we have to agree on this.
I just want to start. I think episode 9 is at the bottom. I think that's F tier.
Real.
Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, goes at the bottom.
Now we can't just go with there. We need to get reasons why.
I don't feel like it really progressed
It
the
doesn't
story all too
doesn't
much.
really add anything.
And the script writing was kind of bad.
I feel like it was just an excuse to make another movie.
Yeah, essentially.
They made it so they could finish out another trilogy.
Yeah.
They needed to.
So, have you guys actually heard the original ideas for Episode 9? Where
I have a glimpse of what they were supposed to be doing.
A brief understanding of what the whole trilogy was supposed to accomplish,
yeah,
but
the
I'm not
original-
too sure on that movie.
The original idea for Episode 9 was actually that Rey took the broken pieces of Luke's lightsaber and turned her staff into a saber staff. And then from there,
that
she
would've
went
been nice.
out and was exploring all these ancient Jedi and Sith planets for the relics and things, trying to figure out a way to save Kylo Ren. And then he and the First Order were chasing her and the Resistance around before they all eventually realized Kylo Ren couldn't be saved. There was no point. And I feel like that would make a much better story than, oh, somehow Palpatine returned, let's go. And he has this massive fleet of ships.
So I
It was
do want
sitting
to
the ground for 100 years.
I mean, they hid that Super Star Destroyer under Coruscant for like however long it was there.
That is
I want to give this film one big thing for credit. I think they handled it poorly, but the whole thing of Palpatine returning, I am actually all for because of them setting it up in like the prequel trilogy. Don't get me wrong, I still think this movie's trash. You know, great memes, but absolute trash. But
As with
I
everyone.
think
I think it's somewhat believable based on the rest of the story. I just don't think it's a very good movie.
I don't think they explained it,
my thing is,
and that's the tragic part.
part of my thing is that all of this explaining that they've done and getting all of it to match up and make sense is all done after the movie was released, and they didn't really have all of that stuff planned out ahead of time, is what it seems like.
Yeah, I think you hit it right. I think there's just not enough. The explanation part is not there in that movie.
I think
It
that if
doesn't
they
make
would have,
sense out of nowhere. It's unplanned.
Yeah.
do we know? Because I know during like the lore, like the actual books, Palpatine does come back, and they have a really cool explanation for it that goes all the way back to Dark Pelagius. But, and I'll talk more about it once we get to the best of the Star Wars movies. But the whole thing of Palpatine coming back, I think if they would have explained it instead of just being somehow he survived, it would have came off a lot better. But that's the only good thing I could say about it.
Oh yeah, surprise, surprise, he's back, but we're not going to tell you how.
Yeah.
He's just going to come out of this tank on this like arm
I mean, to
thing.
be fair, all they did was really just pull a Disney.
Yeah.
Retcon.
Yeah,
All right. So
gotta love this.
let's curb this discussion for a second, and then we're going to start at the top of the chronological order with The Phantom Menace.
D tier, I think.
My personal opinion is that it's C tier simply for the whole battle droids and the Trade Federation space battle.
Yeah, I just
I'd
think
agree.
it's kind of dumb, to be honest.
So I grew up with these movies, so I'm like probably very biased towards the prequels. I would definitely give this a B tier. 100%. I think that the amount of lore that it gives out and how like in depth the movie is just like amazing.
Yeah.
A lot happens in it that like leads to the other movies, so it feels like at this point it's just like a step to the other ones.
Yeah.
It's not a bad movie, but we have all the other movies that make it seem almost like you don't actually need the Phantom Menace too much.
I don't know.
Because they do explain some of the same things again in the
I
other
don't know
movies.
about that. I think the Phantom Menace, besides that one scene, all the things that it does add, I think are really because it's bringing Star Wars back to a generation that hasn't had Star Wars for 20 years. You know?
Yeah. It's like George Lucas took what he originally made in Star Wars and was like, how do I make it so that we can bring people back? Less so that he just wrote a Star Wars movie.
It's far from my least favorite Star Wars content, but I also think there's just things that are like different levels of better than it. So I don't think we could make it more than like mid tier.
Yeah.
I mean, but it did give us like the second best lightsaber fight we've ever had.
That's true.
Duel of the Fates is a great
Yes.
movie part.
Yeah. All right. So what's the final consensus on this?
I would say C tier.
C tier seems to
D
be.
tier, if we maybe reevaluated at some point, I would say bottom of B tier. Maybe.
At the moment, though, C tier is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think we need to talk about the other stuff first before we can decide.
All right. Then next on the list would be Attack on the Clones, or Attack of the Clones. Hey guys, we're here now. Welcome to Star Wars. We have been introduced.
B.
Yeah, it's either B or very, very low A, because I
It's
personally
very
like
cool
the movie quite a bit.
Battle of Geonosis was really cool.
Yeah.
That was just mwah.
Besides that, though, it's really kind of bland overall.
Really just like, oh yeah, we have this big army, now let's show you like what they do.
Yeah. Besides
Is
the actual
most of the
battle,
movie.
it's not much to it.
I hate to say,
It's a good
but
part of the movie.
as amazing as the clones that it brings in, I think that it's like probably the worst of the Star Wars Skywalker saga, besides, of course, the new trilogy.
So, just the worst of the original 6.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, it's cool, but a lot of the dialogue in it does kind of suck. It is very memey. It does have some cool scenes like the Geonosis fighting arena, but every Star Wars has those cool scenes.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I feel this is the one that just, it takes an amazing premise, but doesn't deliver in a good way. Does that make sense?
Didn't this one give us memes too?
Okay.
What?
The memes, way too many memes in the prequel trilogy.
So, if you're saying that it's the worst, then we should put it behind the Phantom Menace.
I would say C or D.
So
I'm kind of inclined to put it
D.
I'm kind of inclined to put it at C, but it's still better than the Phantom Menace.
There's
Phantom
there's stuff that's worse than than Attack of the Clones, but better than
So
Episode 9.
which one would you take? Give or take, like the Phantom Menace or Attack of the Clones?
I'm taking Attack of the Clones just because I think it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's got cooler stuff.
I feel like it's more action backed, I guess. Well, at least half of it is.
Yeah.
And I haven't watched either of those movies in like a long time.
They're
So-
both good movies. It's just, I would say Attack of the Clones is better in terms of...
I have a favorite original trilogy though, which we'll get to. Yeah.
So do we have any disagreement of putting Attack of the Clones C tier but higher than Phantom Menace?
I don't think so.
I'm okay with it.
Let's move on.
I'll allow it.
We're gonna do, just because of the fact that the majority of the Clone Wars series is after the Clone Wars movie, we're gonna do the Clone Wars movie first.
I don't
Okay.
really have an opinion on the Clone Wars movie because I don't remember having ever watched it.
Basically, they're on a city, and they're fighting. Like the entire city, just like completely taken by separatists,
Oh,
and they're
is
like
that the-
really low out of
It's where
supplies.
they introduce
It's also
Is that
for
Christophsis?
Ahsoka Tano to Anakin.
Is it Christophsis that it's? Oh
This is
yeah,
where
And then
they
they
it's
also go to free. I think they went to go free one of the give one of the Hutt's childs to them.
Yes.
Yeah, Jabba's
Oh.
baby.
Well,
Yeah,
Jabba's never
Oh yeah, okay,
technically what they say,
yeah.
but
I really hope it's his nephew.
Rata the Hutt.
Okay.
So I would put the Clone Wars movie low B, high C, only because it introduces us to Clone Wars. But let's be real.
Let's put it in B.
I mean, yeah,
now, I think.
It's better.
Okay,
than,
good.
It's better than Attack of the Clones in my opinion because there's just much more action and the dialogue is
Yes.
actually good.
the entire movie is just straight in a city, like having constant battles.
And then we move to a
And it-
jungle where there's
Yeah.
battles.
Yeah,
And it also introduces us to like Ahsoka.
Who's a very important character in the series. And then
Exactly.
her own
And the rest of
spin-off
Star Wars,
series.
to be honest.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I could put it in D tier and like with good faith.
for me, I thought it was kind of mid.
I could see my position on that to C tier. I
I
would,
was
we are hot.
too.
I'd put it at the top of C tier right now.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd agree.
I think we know what the answer's supposed to be for the next one.
Yeah. So
Look,
do we have any
S
disagreements
tier,
on that?
I will not be taking. I will not be taking any arguments.
Are there any disagreements on that?
Masterclass and animated TV show. I think.
Yes.
You disagree? We take away your armor.
So we
You're
don't
no
even
longer
Clone Wars.
we don't even need to break it down by season. It's just straight up the best.
Like
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Oh my
I
god!
have nothing bad to
so
say
many
about it.
times. It's a banger.
And then
okay.
Rishi,
One thing,
Rishi Moon arc was.
yeah.
That was. I really like that.
So I'm just going to point out I don't have the Bad Batch on here. I completely forgot about it, but can we agree that the Bad Batch series is also S tier?
Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah.
Just
I could agree with
it's
that.
just lower than the Clone Wars.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's pretty easy to agree on. So next is Revenge of the Sith.
I want to say
Listen,
not
I will-
here because I really
I'm
like
gonna-
this movie.
I want to say like as high as it can go, but not S tier. So
no,
probably
I will die on this hill. I will die on this hill. Okay.
Well, it
Revenge
might
of the
be S
Sith
tier.
is the greatest, single best
my
piece
favorite
of
movie.
Star Wars anything.
It is my favorite movie, so I would say S
Put it
tier.
above. I wouldn't put it above my actual favorite, but I would say yeah, it's my second favorite Star Wars thing.
I'm still saying the Clone Wars series is better because we actually get introduced to all of this plot and stuff. And I mean, there's just so much Clone Wars to compare to the three.
But at the same time, like Revenge of the Sith is like 2 hours and 45 minutes. I feel like it accomplishes like a hell of a lot for that amount of runtime.
Also true.
Yeah. It goes from I'm pregnant to I want to kill you.
You were supposed to destroy the Sith.
I mean, it's name me another.
Have the high ground.
I have the high ground, Bananakin.
Bananakin?
The edit of that movie is so funny.
You were the chosen one, Bananakin. You were meant to destroy the Brown, not join them. So
Yeah, I just think it's the best movie.
yeah. So are we saying that it is in fact better than the Clone Wars?
I want to say that, yeah.
Just because
Yeah.
it accomplishes so much in
Yeah.
a fraction of the time.
I mean, it
Yeah.
even sets up Palpatine's return.
I just think it's funny that some dude has the ashes of his dead boss in like jars in his office. And he just like looks at all day. Just think-
Yeah, right. Just like that is a power move, though.
It is.
yeah.
And can we also acknowledge that the guy who played Sidious came back to play Sidious for the prequels?
Do you know the tale of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
I mean, come on, how cool is that?
It is pretty impressive. Though, if you think about it, James Earl Jones is the voice of Vader for the rest of eternity. So we do have that.
I mean, Revenge of the Sith is I can't in good faith put it under anything other than S tier.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
The only debate I have is whether or not it's truly better than the Clone Wars. Because it's better than the Bad Batch. I'm gonna give it that. But the Clone Wars still, to me, it's a.
I just think this is a really hard choice.
Yeah.
Well, let's look at it this way then. Would we have the Clone Wars without Revenge of the Sith?
Good point. No.
That's true.
Because the Clone Wars is amazing because we have Revenge of the Sith. Because Revenge of the Sith is such a beautiful climax to what the Clone Wars builds up.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to watch the Clone Wars before you watch Revenge of the Sith. You're supposed to watch the Clone Wars through the lens of Revenge of the Sith.
That is true.
Yeah.
Because without Revenge of the Sith, you're just watching the Clone Wars, and it's a nice story, and it shows the horrors of war and everything, and it gives you so much about the clones that we saw in Episode 2. But until you watch Revenge of the Sith and you know what's going to happen after the Clone Wars ends,
And you can start seeing Anakin's decline to the dark side.
yes.
So, I guess that's why I would put Revenge of the Sith over the Clone Wars. I love the Clone Wars. It is phenomenal. I watch it all the time.
Phenomenal.
What's up?
They're both phenomenal.
They are both phenomenal.
Yeah. Yes.
Revenge of the
They're
Sith
both
is-
S tier.
Revenge of the Sith is just top of the board, I guess, then. It just has
Yeah.
to stay up there. Because we wouldn't have much of any of the rest of this besides the original trilogy without Revenge of the Sith.
Uh huh.
Because why would we need to have a Obi-Wan an entire spin-off about Obi-Wan Kenobi fighting his demons with Darth Vader if we didn't know that Darth Vader used to be Anakin, who,
Yeah.
Obi-Wan trained. And then
that brings even more emotion when you remember the greatest lightsaber duel that has ever graced our television screens.
His greatest even sword fight in anything that I think.
I mean, and it's not just the choreography that makes that duel. That is peak cinematography, which is what
music.
makes it so amazing.
a location, all that kind of stuff. It's just perfect.
So no one disagrees on it, right?
no.
Yeah, I know.
Live on it?
Okay. I think we've established that then.
So next on the list, Obi-Wan, which is a highly controversial piece.
I want to say B. I want to say B.
Because on the one hand, you have this story of how Obi-Wan regains his usage of the Force and his will to fight after years of ignoring it. But on the other hand, you also have to think about the fact that it's Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he gave up. And then stuff like lightsabers, even though he hasn't used the Force in a while, the lightsaber didn't just cut through things, and he had to use it like a club. And all those other weird things that when you take...
Well, he might have had a Force trigger in his lightsaber.
Yeah, but
That might have been part of the issue.
That's the thing. Those were so few and far between, and there's no record of Obi-Wan ever doing that. Except for this indication.
Fair. I think it's B tier. I think it's important. I think understanding the in-between period that Kenobi takes place, I think it's important to understand how both he and Leia get to the point that they're at in A New Hope.
Yeah.
I think that's important to consider.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Obi-Wan. We're talking about the Kenobi show, right? So,
Yeah.
I love Obi-Wan. I am an Ewan McGregor fangirl. I think, and I even read, I never got to finish it, but I got like halfway through the Kenobi book before I started reading Warhammer books, and I hate to say the Warhammer books kind of like taken over me decently. But from what I gather from the Kenobi book versus the Kenobi show, they're vastly different, but the emotion and the feelings that he's having during the show, about him feeling like a failure, him feeling like he messed up, all of that stuff, it's there in the book, right? I know people's biggest gripe on the Kenobi show is that this is, they don't like seeing Obi-Wan being so sad. They don't think that it's smart to have, like, Obi-Wan go with, save Leia, and, like, Obi-Wan doesn't seem like he's good and stuff like that. I think that that's phenomenal. I think that
Jedi not being allowed to have attachments is, I think, part of the reason why the Jedi Order failed. And I think Kenobi shows that it's important for that to still exist. Because if he didn't save Leia, then we wouldn't have Leia for A New Hope and the Rebellion and all that shit.
Yeah.
See, I really can't say much on it, so I'm just gonna have to go on what you guys say, because I watched it only once, and I didn't really watch it that closely. And I kind of forgot, like, half of it.
I mean, you also have, like, Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen coming back to reprise their roles as Anakin and Obi.
Yes.
That was me. I like that.
I mean, like, that was Hayden Christensen in the Darth Vader suit. Come on.
Yeah. Considering how short Hayden Christensen is, though, it's kind of funny to see him towering over as Darth Vader.
And I think that's also cool to think about from Obi-Wan's perspective, you know? So I would put this in, like, kind of B tier.
Yeah, that is fair. I'm still gonna put, I would put Obi-Wan low B, not high B, but it's still a B tier.
That's fair.
So we want to meet middle ground there?
Yeah, I say we leave it here.
So that brings us to the next on our list, Solo.
I think that's also B, but significantly better than Kenobi. Because I just think like the whole environment of Mimban with like the Imperial troopers is just so cool. And very like gritty, like real war experience kind of stuff.
The other thing is the story of betrayal and lost love kind of appeals to some people.
Well, it explains like a bunch of stuff about him, like how he got the Corellian blood stripes, how he got the Millennium Falcon, how he met Chewie, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does give like every single background information about him pretty much.
I think that's not a good thing, though.
Yeah.
I think they
Why?
The
explain.
lure of Han Solo is the mystery.
Well, no, I mean, they have the Han Solo book trilogy, and I had the joy of reading those, and they are phenomenal books. I'd highly recommend them. Nothing like the Solo movie, so I'm a little biased there, but I'm trying to push those bias away, right? And just look at the movie. I think that it explained too much about Solo in such little time. Like, if they maybe divided it into, like, 2 movies, or those famous Star Wars trilogy style, then I think it would have been better. But as it stands with how much it explains, it just, yeah, I think it tries to explain too much. But then again, on the right side of it, we got to learn about the Crimson Sun. Is that who it is?
Crimson Dawn.
Dawn.
Dawn, which isn't that Darth Maul's
Yes.
gang?
Yeah, he appears briefly on a
So yeah,
hologram.
you get to
That was so cool when he did that, and I was like only like 7 when I watched that movie for the first time.
It has been a little while since it came out, so I'm thinking that I enjoyed Solo much more when it first came out personally, but as time has gone on, I'm starting to think of
It
it
just
a
ages
little bit
weirdly.
lesser.
I still think
I
it's better
agree.
than Kenobi.
Yes, it's definitely better than Kenobi.
I don't know if I would agree with that, but I'm outnumbered here, so
So, do we all agree?
I think so.
Seems to be the case.
We have
Let's do it.
majority. I think.
All right, so
yeah, no,
let's go through, and then out of this, does anybody have any disagreements about what we've placed so far? And since we've gone through and talked about all this, is there anything that we want to move based off of what we've mentioned?
Is there a tier below F? Because I think Rise of Skywalker can go a little lower.
Bottom of F tier.
Unfortunately, I do not believe I can make a tier below F. We would make it, or we would send it all the way to like,
Ass tier.
yeah, we would send it as far as we could go.
it's here like with S called like John Favaro, and it's here under an F tier called Catherine Kennedy.
All right, so if we've got everything, if we don't have anything that we want to move at the moment, Andor.
S tier. S
Oh
tier.
my God.
Best Star
I
Wars
can't-
content available.
I cannot even I can't even talk about this one because I haven't even watched it yet. I'm so far behind on my shows because I just now got my TV to work again.
Andor is top tier TV.
Yes,
I think
it's
I can't.
it's one of the
better than
best,
Clone Wars. I think.
It's one of the best Star Wars things that I have watched in a very long time. Since I watched the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy, this is the first thing that, besides the Clone Wars, that actually hit me and was like, this is Star Wars.
The heist arc of Andor is one of the best. And the ending with the march through the streets and the marching band is that goes hard. That's just
Andor is,
I think, so far above anything else that I've seen in Star Wars that I would put it at top of S tier. It's a little controversial because it's a little slower than other stuff, and I would say a little more political in nature than some of the other Star Wars content, but I still think it's top of S tier.
yeah.
So I haven't seen Andor myself.
That was a lot of lag.
Okay, Clamp,
Oh no.
you dying?
Just disconnect him and bring him back.
Sorry about that.
Okay, there we go.
But I think I've heard that Andor is one of the best shows out there. I haven't seen it yet, but from people who I watch, who usually hate the newer Star Wars, and even talk they even say they didn't like the Book of Boba Fett, which we'll get into that when we get to that. I think that from those people giving it such high praise, I would also have to put it higher up there on the tier list.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's at the very top of S tier. I don't know if I could put anything above that.
Yeah. I don't feel like said, I don't feel like anything's topping the top of S tier already.
I would say that I would place Andor Like it is truly a debate between Clone Wars and Andor, because they're both so good in their respective areas.
I can agree with this placement.
Oh yeah, we can put it up there tied with the Clone Wars.
Yeah, so if there was a tie button, we would put those two as tied, and then Bad Batch is just a place below that.
We could put them next to each other in 8. Well, just leave them in there. Actually,
Put them one on top of the other.
So next is another show that I forgot about, but Star Wars Rebels.
Oh,
can't comment. Skinny lightsabers look stupid.
Yeah.
But Chopper is a badass and has killed
oh my gosh, Chopper is
innumerable people.
Yeah. I'm personally saying that Rebels is like tied with Solo, or just above Solo. But it's
I would
not.
put Rebels at.
See, the thing for me is that I like literally watched that stuff with my dad. Like when we like didn't have streaming channels yet, we was just like watching it straight on like XD, and I was like, "This is so cool." It was like a part of my childhood from when I was like maybe 5 years old to like 11 years old. It was like always there, and I watched this show all the time, like right there with Clone Wars. So it's always gonna have somewhere in my heart like Clone Wars does, in my opinion.
It's same, but it's not quite as. I'm still saying, for me, it still doesn't quite hit A tier. Like it's just shy.
See, I had the benefit of watching Rebels like as an adult. I never really got to watch Clone Wars and Rebels on the TV growing up as a kid, even though they were always on. I only watched a couple episodes of the Clone Wars. And I always hated Rebels, even though I never watched it. I gave it a watch all the way through, and it's just, I can't put it with Clone Wars, because Clone Wars completes Rebels. But the amount of, like, things that are in it. You get to one of the greatest Star Wars villains to ever exist in it with Ron.
Yep.
You get to see some of our favorite clone troopers come back. It furthers Ahsoka's and the greatest Star Wars character, in my opinion, Darth Maul. They further his storyline.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that Rebels does. So where is ultimately where we're putting it? Because the agreement is that it doesn't quite hit S tier.
I would say A, B tier.
B.
So,
I don't care which one goes in. It's A or B tier.
so we're saying low B or high B, low A.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, I would agree.
I can agree with that.
Next on the list, Rogue One.
S tier, but below Andor and Clone Wars show.
Yeah.
Watching the scene in that movie where K2SO dies, it was just like it actually was just like
Oh
so
my god.
sad.
What about the part where they're sitting on the beach, bro, and then they just get like just evaporated
Like,
with the planet?
Rogue One is one of the most moving pieces that came from Star Wars. Like, there are a couple episodes in the Clone Wars that it's like you feel it, but Rogue One really just hits you, and you just
It's so emotional because it's like none of them make it out of it. Besides, like
That's
the
what's
main
good- I mean, that's
characters
what's
that go
good
into the
about it.
original.
Oh, that's what was good about it. That's one.
It's an off of the trilogy movie, and no one makes it out of it. It's
not
just
afraid.
there.
once you
They're not afraid to kill anybody.
yeah,
Yeah.
it shows
Plot armor is not a thing.
it truly shows you the realities of Star Wars,
Of
the
Star Wars.
universe, and what happened with the Rebel Alliance. Like, there's no plot armor ultimately, because if you think about it, the person who had the most plot armor was Chirrut, and he dies when he stops
Rip.
saying that the Force is going to guide. When he stops saying it, even though he still believes it.
I mean, I feel like it just shows the true wrath of what the Empire really did. How like dark the Empire really was.
And that's another thing.
That's a plus.
It visibly shows them destroying at least 2 planets, to my knowledge, inside of it.
Gareth, if I remember correctly, doesn't get completely destroyed, but the oceans just get evaporated,
Yeah.
and like half the planet is just like burnt to a crisp.
Yeah, Jeddah and Scarab
Yeah.
didn't get completely obliterated like Alderaan did, but they did get a quarter.
I would say it's
Destroyed
pretty much
the surface.
destroyed if the surface is just
They were
burnt to
both-
the crisp, because that means no life is on it anymore.
They were both rendered unlivable, but the planet was not destroyed.
So we all agree it's like bottom S tier?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
it's nowhere near bottom S tier. It's like mid S tier, whereas the other three things we have
But
in S
what
tier.
we
are
already
high S
have,
tier.
it can't pass.
But yeah, we don't have anything in S tier, so it goes at the bottom of what we have.
I mean, I'm also like a massive fan of the Star Wars Alamo.
So you say that again?
Sorry, I was someone came to tennis me for a second, but on the Rogue One, as a Texan, I'm a fan of the Star Wars version of the Alamo. So
Mm-hmm. With Rogue One is just so good in my opinion. Like Andor is better,
Such a
but
good
Rogue
movie.
One is amazing, and like it leads perfectly into A New Hope.
And
Yes,
Rogue One's,
literally.
I feel like Rogue One's not one of those things where like the emotion goes away after the first time you watch it.
No, I've watched it at least.
Like it still hits the same.
Yeah,
Every single time I watch it, I have the same feelings.
yeah, and like it actually like the emotion grows a little bit more with each time you watch it because you know, like you hope so much that they're going to survive, but you know deep down it's not going to change.
it's that same feeling you get from Revenge of the Sith. You hope that it ends differently, even though you know in your heart it's not going to end differently.
Exactly. Speaking of A New Hope, where do we place this one? It's not.
Okay.
It's like worst out of the original trilogy because like it's the original movie. There's not quite as much to it, and that makes it kind of bland. But still, it's still an amazing movie in its own right.
It's iconic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad movie, but
It
I don't think it even approaches any of the ones in S tier
yeah.
that we
I
have.
mean, that's a space station. Like, come
It
on.
doesn't. If you think about it, like it didn't get a name or a number until the release of Phantom Menace and the 25-year anniversary. It was literally just called Star Wars until the 25th anniversary.
hmm
It is.
I would buy it.
Without it, we would have nothing.
Exactly. Going back to that argument, it's what started Star Wars, you know? It's the first time we ever see a lightsaber. The first time we're introduced to Han Solo and the Falcon. It's the first time we saw, you know, fucking, what's that music called? Kids? That was called?
I feel like it's different if you watch the original trilogy first versus watching them in the like true like
Order of
Canon
what it's
order.
supposed to be watched in.
And you see, that's what I did. Is I actually watched it in order of release date originally, and like New Hope was so good, and then I watched the rest of the original trilogy, and I went, "Holy cow! This like A New Hope isn't just like a starter movie like you see with The Phantom Menace or The Force Awakens. It actually has depth and meaning to it. Like it's a good movie without the rest of the trilogy.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's true.
It's still only A tier in my opinion because, like, I mean, there's only so much you could do for the time period. In all fairness, but so much of the graphic stuff just has so much that it could do better.
Well, yeah, that's because of the date it was made in, obviously.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it would be fit for them to remake it, but keep the original one, but like remake it with better graphics?
It would not be worth
I
it.
wonder if people would be like that.
No, I mean, it's also its turn. The
Part of
special effects in that phenomenal.
Part of the allure is the old-fashioned graphics, in my opinion. Like, it doesn't, like, making the graphics better doesn't make it go up. I honestly, remaking it would make it go down. It might end up near the bottom with Rise of Skywalker if they remade it.
Don't compare it to that piece of trash down there.
You really want to hear, like, those two movies even come in pretty compared.
Yeah, but
In
like,
fact, I thought it was
you
the
know
Rise of
that
Skywalker.
you know that if they remake A New Hope, they're going to change so much about it that it's not even going to be worth watching.
Yeah, it is Disney, for Pete's sake.
I think the idea that just because it's Disney means they'll change crazy amount of stuff about it, I just think that's kind of dumb. Because, like, you never really know. Like,
That is fair.
Why change story in it? And I think that's another thing that this movie kind of introduces us to. And this is something that I love Star Wars for, and this is why Star Wars is so amazing, is that Star Wars isn't a story, right? It's not. It's this world that you tell stories in.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Amazing is that. And all of these movies really are just phenomenal, except for like Skywalker. All these movies are just phenomenal, right? But that's because they're all just stories in a universe instead of a universe in phases.
Yeah. It's like how it's like how Lord of the Rings is. Tolkien built his world and then went, there's a story to be told out of this world. So he built the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit out of the world instead of building the world for the story. Like so many things do.
and it worked out pretty damn well.
Oh, it's great.
Like, Disney didn't do the best job with episodes 7 through 9, but, like, they're still cool, like, decent movies that introduce, like, a fair amount of stuff.
Yeah.
I want to talk about it more when we actually get to Rise of Skywalker, but, like, for as much flack as we give it, and it deserves that flack, it is not a good movie. The things that it introduces and brings up are stuff that, you know, me as a mega Star Wars fan actually enjoy.
Which
You
one?
know, and
Rise of Skywalker. Like,
Okay.
that is true. Like, it's such a horrible movie, and like it's a horrible piece of canon. But at the same time, the way it's written kind of fits weirdly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the whole thing of Palpatine keep coming back to that because, like, I think it's a really cool thing. You know, do y'all know how he comes back?
Yeah, Project Necromancer.
Yeah.
He clones himself.
Yeah, exactly. He makes copies of himself and using that power that Darth Plagueis figured out that he told Anakin during the whole like concert scene and the whatever that I always hated as a kid, but as I got older, I loved.
That's a great scene that sets up so much of the rest of what happens in Star Wars.
Yeah.
But how he was able to transfer his consciousness into clones, right?
Mm-hmm.
That explains that in the movie would have been so much better. But they just do it, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I think with the new trilogy is, and why I think it should have just been made by bigger Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
But enough about that.
All right. So again, A New Hope, it's A tier, right? Can we all? Is that a agreement?
Yeah. Yeah.
That brings us to The Empire Strikes Back. I forgot the name for a
Oh
second.
my god, I think that's so funny. Because you go to where Yoda's been hanging out for like, how long was he there on Dagobah?
18 years by this point, because
Yeah, so he's been on Dagobah for 18 years basically smoking blunts every day, and he's just gone completely insane. And then Luke basically annoys him so much that he just up and dies.
Well, he doesn't die until episode 6, technically. Like,
You know, unpopular.
The story's
Is that
there.
how my parents
The
feel?
idea that, like,
Is that how my parents feel?
yes.
I think that part's just seeing Yoda being that way as an adult. It's just hilarious.
Yes.
Unpopular, right? And I think this movie just like settles it even more for me. I don't like Yoda, and this movie is a big reason why I don't like Yoda.
Agreed. The only time
Do not return to the temple.
the only time I really like Yoda, and it like the prequel trilogy doesn't do him any justice either. The sequel trilogy, the original trilogy doesn't do him justice. The sequel trilogy doesn't do him justice. The only time I like Yoda is his appearances during the Clone Wars and how he treats the clones.
Yeah.
It.
Yeah. But like even then, like I feel like even in the Clone Wars, he's just a piece of shit, you know?
Yep.
Like I think that what he says is a lot
Yeah.
of times,
How would you treat the world if you were like 2 feet tall?
look,
He's like 3 feet tall. He's like 600 years old.
He,
but I
And
don't
he's probably just a crutch.
How would you feel 600 years of his life as an Oompa Loompa? How would you feel?
he turns.
Okay, look.
He is like 798 when he dies. Maybe 800 when he dies. Like he is like right there.
So Grogu's still.
He's been there forever.
And
And
Grogu's
then-
only 50.
Okay, so he's like an infant.
Yes.
So
that means
Yeah.
what?
That- the Empire Strikes Back. The Hoth scene is one of my favorite Star Wars scenes. It is super iconic, and I grew up loving the Empire Strikes Back, my favorite movie because of that.
So if we're taking into account that every 50 years is 1 year to Yoda's species, Yoda's only 14 when he dies.
That doesn't seem right.
Is Luke that annoying?
I'm telling you, Luke annoyed him so much that he just died.
It's weird to think about the fact that the 800-year-old frog on ketamine is
The
like
goblin.
that. But if we take into account that Grogu is still an infant at age 50 in human years, that would mean that every 50 years is about a year to their species. If not, more than that is a year. So that means, translated directly, Yoda's only 14. If you
I think
comparably.
infancy. I don't think there's really a difference in the rate at which they age. I think infancy just lasts longer for Yoda's species.
It is.
Must be the case.
I don't know. What if Grogu is just slow?
Also a possibility.
Yeah, maybe Grogu's got one of
He's like
those
me.
things.
Because
Makes him,
if
like,
you
grow
think about
fat
it,
slower.
Grogu's also been hibernating for what, 30 years, give or take.
20.
20.
Yeah, he was hibernating a while.
20 to
That's
30
gotta,
years.
that's gotta stunt growth. I mean,
Yeah, there's got to be something wrong with him after that amount of time in cryosleep.
okay. Yeah.
But then, on The Empire Strikes Back. Oh,
I think it's well established
Yeah.
in A tier.
Besides Yoda, The Empire Strikes Back belongs just above A New Hope. Like, they are very, very close. It's just Empire Strikes Back is a little bit better.
I would argue this belongs in S tier.
Vader
At the
being a
bottom-
savage, just killing people, like, that's.
Yeah.
I mean, not only that, you have like Han Solo being frozen to the. You have Cloud City. You have the number one most iconic Star Wars scene to ever exist. I could ask a random stranger on the street to quote anything from Star Wars, and they will more than likely quote this.
It was very accurate.
Yeah,
Like,
they will quote it
I think this
wrong, but
belongs-
they will quote it.
Yeah, I think
Imagine him just not even like, he's not even in the same room as some of the people who he just like kills. And like Darth Vader.
Yeah, so Darth Vader could only actually kill when he could see the person, so over hologram and stuff. Did you know that that Palpatine Sidious, he could kill without needing to see them or be near them? He could just think about the person and kill them if he so chose, which is one
Why
of
was
the
that
reasons-
in with the?
Like, I mean, if Darth Vader really honed his Force abilities when he was still a Jedi instead of his lightsaber abilities, he would have been able to kill the entire galaxy just with a thought.
Like Thanos.
Yeah. But because he didn't, that's the only reason why Sidious was so much more powerful.
Yeah.
And like Empire Strikes Back is a good representation of what might have been had Anakin really honed in on Qui-Gon's favorite aspect of Jedi.
Yeah.
Jedi.
Yes, after what might have been if Darth Maul didn't show up.
Yeah. So, do we all agree that The Empire Strikes Back is like on the cusp of S tier, but not quite there?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd still say to bump into S tier, but that's just me.
All right. So, Revenge of the Sith. In my opinion, this is the.
I don't remember much of this movie.
This one.
Go over
Is,
this all.
this one is my.
Return of the Jedi, you mean?
This one is my favorite out of the original trilogy.
It's Return of the Jedi.
Like I said, did we already talk about Revenge of the Sith? Or Return of the Jedi?
Yeah, you said Revenge of the Sith.
I am fully. That's really dumb of me.
Yes.
Return of the Jedi, Episode 6. I am sorry. In my opinion,
I would say
this is like very top of A tier, maybe
Behind Empire Strikes Back, I think.
like this is around the same place as Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, I could put both. I would say tie for both of those.
Like the
I would say that
the original trilogy is just so good as a whole, and then each individual movie you can technically take them as individual pieces and just send them off, and they're excellent movies by themselves. It's like they're not the best movies they're just not the best pieces of Star Wars, obviously, but they're so good that individually they are good. You don't need all three of them to make something worth it.
Yeah.
as amazing as like a villain that Sidious is, I think he's probably the best villain in cinematic history. I would still say that Empire Strikes Back is better, just because like that's where you get the iconic scenes. I feel like I like the action the more. You get Boba Fett, and he's not reduced to just being thrown into the Starlight Pit immediately in that movie. So
Yeah.
but yeah, just my 2 cents on it.
Hey, Gravestone fault. I'm gonna be right back.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Can I just put something out about this tier list?
Yes.
This is how you know we're a bunch of Star Wars dorks. Like,
That's why I thought this was the perfect idea for us to do this.
look how many top tier stuff there is. We had to be harsh to get those seats. Like, even in our hearts, those.
Before Frogger comes back, I know we're not rating them yet, but I just want to say Mandalorian, like all 3 seasons, characters, S tier. Plot, like B.
And don't forget Mandalorian season 1. Was it 2.5 or 1.5? That
Book of
one episode.
Boba Fett is.
Or that one episode. that one episode you had with the Mandalorian.
Yeah. But yeah, I think Mandalorian season 1 and 2 are kind of just like they're together. They're like attached.
Yeah.
Like one singular unit.
Yes, because when you take those 2 seasons, then the reason I have it ordered the way I do is because Book of Boba Fett happens between the first 2 and the third one, which is what makes sense. And like those first 2 seasons just go together too well.
Yeah. Also, the Mandalorian just has one of my second favorite character in Star Wars after Andor.
Yeah.
Boba Fett?
No. I know she's not in anything apart from the Mandalorian. But the armor's cool as fuck.
Hey, just so you know, I will be gone for 5 to 10 minutes.
The armor is just such a badass.
Since you have a little time waiting for Froggy, do you want to hear my theory of how Palpatine killed Padme?
Well, there's a theory. You can give your theory, but the actual answer is quite simple, and I'll share that afterwards.
So here's my theory. Okay, so going back to that theater scene in Revenge of the Sith. Remember a scene I hated as a kid because, you know, I'm a kid. I'm here for lightsaber battles and clone shooting. Yeah. As I got older and started watching it like for real and not started appreciating it, Palpatine was talking about how the dark side taught how Pelagius found out how to keep the ones he loved from dying. Right? Do we know who Pelagius is in regards to Palpatine?
Yes.
Yes, he's his master.
Exactly. So Palpatine ended up killing Pelagius, but that was after Pelagius already taught Palpatine how to keep the ones you love from dying, which is either transferring your like consciousness into someone else's body, thereby increasing your life by going to a younger person or a healthier person, or taking someone's life force and using it to increase your own life, right?
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this, and I want you to be honest. Who can survive having your arm and both your legs cut off and thrown into a river of lava?
What?
Who can survive having their arm and both legs cut off and thrown into a river of lava? Who can survive it?
I mean, I don't know, but I know Maul survived basically because he was so angry.
Yeah.
Well, would you really think Anakin would survive having both his legs and arm cut off, and then thrown in lava to become I don't think Anakin could survive it.
So you think Palpatine stole Padme's life force and gave it to Anakin so that he'd survive and be his apprentice?
And I think Anakin died on that table. So Palpatine took Padme's life force and put it into Anakin.
Okay.
That's exactly the in lore. That's
explanation.
What they say in canon.
Well, I didn't know that was an in-canon thing. I thought the in-canon reason was she died of a broken heart, which I think is very stupid as fuck.
Yeah. But quite literally, that is the reason that given.
Well, that ain't simple.
So you managed to come up by yourself with the exact reason why it happened. Good job.
I think that's a valid theory,
Yeah. Obviously,
another question to kill time?
The right thing.
Another question to kill time?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna leave it recording and cut out bits and pieces, but quite a bit of this dialogue might end up staying in.
I think this is good dialogue.
What do you think Anakin's last moment as a Jedi was?
I don't think that he truly returned to the Jedi side until Luke was helping him back to the shuttle. Like that was his full return, and his last moment as a Jedi was seeing his son with his eyes.
I think he meant before he fell to the Sith.
Oh.
Yeah, before he became Vader.
I think it's the moment where Zeb tries to kill Padme with like the worm things.
I'm gonna disagree with you on that one. I'm actually gonna say that it wasn't until entering the Jedi Temple during Order 66. Like, he wasn't fully committed until he started slaughtering the Jedi of the Temple.
I feel like you'd have to be pretty committed before starting to do that.
Yeah, but, like, up until...
I mean, you've been working with these people forever.
Yeah, leading up to that moment, I think he was just dazed and confused, but actually marching in and then killing the younglings especially, that's where he truly gave in to the Sith.
Maybe the part where he has the meeting with, like, Windu and the Council when they basically tell him that he can't have the rank of Master. I think that was the big contributor.
I think it was right. He cut off Mace Windu.
There's a lot of things that
know what I mean?
contributed to the fall.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean, though?
I'm sorry,
Mm-hmm.
it didn't sound to me like you said much of anything for the past half minute.
Oh, sorry, give me a quick second. I was saying his last one was a Jedi was whenever he killed Mace Windu.
Well, Palpatine killed Mace Windu.
But yeah, you know what I mean. Give me like 2 seconds. I got to figure something out with my bus ride.
But Anakin didn't do anything about it.
He cut off Windu's hand, so technically, I guess that could be considered. But again, Palpatine ultimately killed him, even if it was via fall damage.
I think that I guess with that information, I think the final moment was in Palpatine's office.
Yeah. I guess that is...
Sorry about that. I'm back.
Yeah, so I do...
Okay,
I do think that last moment would be right as Anakin finally decides if he was going to save Palpatine or help Windu. That was the final moment, and that is where Anakin truly became a Sith.
Mm-hmm. And I love the parallel between that scene and his last moment as a Sith.
Yeah. Where he finally...
How it's like the exact...
Yeah, he finally goes and decides to do the right thing.
Because, like, think about it. Darth Vader hated working under Palpatine, right?
Yeah.
Vader hated him. He wanted to kill him, but he couldn't because Palpatine put a failsafe in Vader that any kind of electrical current would shut down his suit.
It wouldn't shut down, it just had a greater effect of pain, is technically what it's described as.
So Vader can't beat Palpatine.
Yes.
Right? And so Vader is probably sitting here for these 20 years thinking like, man, like thinking back at that moment where Palpatine was shooting lightning at Mace Windu, where he chose to join Palpatine right there. Like that's when he officially made his decision. Sorry, at least in my mind, right?
Yeah.
for that exact same, and he's probably sitting there thinking, like, being like wishing he can go back and redo that moment. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And one of the best things that I've seen that was an offshoot of that is a vision of of right before he died, as he's asking Luke to remove his helmet and look upon him with his own eyes, is a vision of him doing the right thing and helping Windu kill Palpatine, and then living out the rest of his life with his family, Luke and Leia as kids and everything like that. Like that vision running through his head as he's dying, which is an amazing picture to me, because if you think about it, as he's picking up Palpatine and throwing him over the side, he's imagining himself standing there and swinging his lightsaber alongside Windu in the office, which is a really crazy piece of imagery in my mind. How long did Frogger say he was going to be?
Hello? Pepper.
No, waiting for him to come.
I don't think he said.
Or if he doesn't come back in 2 minutes, I say we continue.
Yeah.
I'm back.
Oh, we continue now. Stalker's here.
Huh? Hey, Stalker, what was the last thing you remember us talking about before you left?
Good question.
Because in the tier list, we just wrapped up the sequel trilogy, and then we were just talking about Darth Vader and Darth Vader and everything for a while.
I think I left right before that.
Okay.
So you only missed the past 19 minutes or so.
Yeah, I was not gone very long.
Hello?
Oh, perfect.
So we've got Clam, Stalker. We do not have Frogger back yet. Frogger's been gone 21 minutes. This is kind of crazy.
He did say he was going to come right back, though.
Yeah.
So we should probably just continue.
Yeah.
Let's continue. Let's just keep going.
Okay. Alright, so next on the tier list we have Mandalorian, and then we're going to do Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2 as one thing instead of as two separates. So I'm just going to move this to the end and remove it. So where do we put seasons 1 and 2? Because I'm personally, Mandalorian is like it's around here. Like,
I don't know how I would make the decision to put it above or below any of the ones in this tier.
yeah, it's like Mandalorian is just kind of there, but it's like, how do you compare them to the original? How do you compare it to the original trilogy? But at the same time, the first 2 seasons were pretty good, and like it, in my opinion, better than Solo.
Mm-hmm.
So like it would be here or here, bottom of A, top of B.
Yeah.
So it's been a while since I've seen Mandalorian. But what I remember of it is it was awesome, and felt like it was a remake of that old TV show Firefly. If you ever watched it.
That's a good... I wouldn't complain. I don't think that's an issue. I like that about it.
So are we saying?
Oh no, yeah, it was.
Are we saying bottom of A instead of top of B?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wonder what they're going to do with the Mandalorian movie.
Yeah, that's a good
I
question.
hope that's good.
I'm
I'm so easy fan of it.
So,
I'm not too convinced, but hopefully it's fine.
is the Mandalorian movie, when do you think that's going to be set? Is that going to be like Darth Revan's time, or is it going to be like this time period and Bo-Katan and everybody rebuilding Mandalore?
I don't know.
Because
I'm so scared.
I would love to see a stuff include Canon Darth Revan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be really.
Well, next would be the Book of Boba Fett. And besides...
Better than Kenobi.
Yes.
Solo was better than it, though.
Yes.
I'll get it.
Like, there were some good parts of it, but overall, it didn't really do it for me as much.
The battle with Mando and Black Chrysanthemum was very good.
Yeah. Like, there were good parts, but just as a standalone piece, comparing it to Solo's just better.
The train heist was, I think, the best part of that show.
It's like...
And we get to see more of, like... You get to see more of the... Sand people.
Yeah.
What are they called?
The Tusken Raiders. And like,
Yeah, we see more of the Tusken Raiders than the savages who just kill everybody.
yeah, and I do really like that about Boba Fett, is that the series shows us really what the Tusken Raiders were actually like their deep-rooted religion and how their hate of the Offworlders. It's not just
It's well founded.
It's well founded because when we see that flashback of Boba Fett getting his staff to turn into his proper Tusken Raider style melee weapon. Mm-hmm. We see the oceans that Tatooine used to have, and we get to see what the Tusken Raiders lost all those years ago.
Yeah.
And we get to see truly what their religion is based in and what they hope for in the future. And it's just so cool to see that.
Yeah, it's also the perspective that we really don't see except for like the books. You get everything in the books.
And then that raises the question, does the Tusken Raider, all of this learning about the Tusken Raiders, does that propel it enough to beat Solo out? Because there's
no, I don't think so.
Yeah. All of that definitely puts us better than Kenobi.
I think that it does only because like we get to see that they're riding a rampant, and we get for better or for worse, Cad Bane's ending.
We do get to see Cad
He
Bane.
was way too light. He was way too light blue in Boba Fett.
Yes.
I think that they fucked up with the costumes.
He should have been darker blue.
Much darker blue.
The Grand Inquisitor and Kenobi and Cad Bane in the Book of Boba Fett is really disappointing.
Yes.
Cad Bane in like the Clone Wars is like almost purple
He was the
color.
shit.
Like
Yeah. He's like nearly an indigo color.
Oh, I am back.
welcome back.
Yeah, we
went ahead a little bit through Book of Boba Fett and The Mandalorian.
we didn't. Yeah, we only did those two so far.
We decided you weren't important enough for those ones, so
Yeah,
It was more of the you were gone for 25 minutes.
Yeah.
it's good. You just missed some of the best conversation that we've ever had.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
You missed all the conversation about Vader.
Yeah.
The lady jumped on for a second. It was really cool.
So,
Rip.
following Book of Boba Fett was Mando Season 3, since Grogu, the return of Grogu in Book of Boba Fett, we see all of this essentially father-son bonding between the Mandalorian and Grogu, and we see the Darksaber, and we see Mandalore, and we see the return of Bo-Katan and company. We see the final defeat of Moff Gideon on Mandalore. Like this, like these last seasons of The Mandalorian were just so much better than the first two. I would just want to say that because of what they really showed.
I think I want to put it on par with Book of Boba Fett. Maybe slightly better.
I think one of my favorite things about the last season of Mandalorian is the city that was like a wasteland on the very first movie, not movie, on the very first season turns into like a prosperous like city, and I just love the transition. Yeah, I like love that.
Yeah.
So much happens.
Yeah.
So much happens, but I don't think that propels it into A tier. I think it's gotta be B.
Nah, A.
So you're saying that,
Bottom of A. Bottom of A.
so
All right, bottom of A. I can agree with that.
bottom of A is okay, but then the question arises: was the first two seasons or the last season better?
First two.
I'd agree with the first two.
First two 100%.
Okay.
I haven't even seen the season yet. I can't really speak on it.
Yeah, that is fair. The first two seasons did do quite a bit that was really cool, like bringing back Luke Skywalker for one. Like all.
Oh, and Ahsoka was.
Oh, that was
and
amazing.
Ahsoka's brief appearance.
Yeah, that's.
And the Dark Troopers.
Oh yes.
The Dark Troopers. Those were amazing.
Yeah, Phase 3 Dark
Yeah.
Troopers were pretty cool.
I'm sorry,
Ones love it or hate it, I guess.
Terrifying though.
Not that I'm sure anybody really loved the next one.
I'm sorry, no, I don't like the flankers.
Next up,
Wait.
we have Ahsoka.
Ugh.
Uh,
I only watched this to watch it.
I have nothing positive. I don't believe
See.
I haven't seen it. Not fair.
C
It's
tier.
like they ruined Thrawn. Like the only really
Thrawn?
nice thing
Yeah.
they have in this is
Why is he fat?
they used the
He's so
voice actor,
chubby.
which is the nice thing about it is that they used the voice actor from Rebels, who was so good, and like including
Okay, that's
that
fat.
makes it a little bit nicer. But overall, Ahsoka just kind of was lackluster.
Yeah, just read the books for Thrawn. They're way better.
Yeah,
I feel like they tried way too hard.
Timothy Zahn, who created Thrawn,
Timothy Zahn's books on Thrawn are just
so good.
amazing.
Like
If you guys hear random noises, my dumb cat next to me.
I cannot stop reading them because I own the Thrawn trilogy, the original 3. I really want to read the Hand of Thrawn duology, but it's such a good series.
I have 4 Thrawn books.
Oh, do you have the Canon Thrawn, or do you have like?
I have it's Ascendancy, regular, Alliances, and then
Oh yes, you've got the Canon book.
whatever the hell the last one is.
Yeah,
Treason.
yeah, you've got those 3 Thrawn books. I have the original Thrawn books where he was like Timothy Zahn's original Thrawn books. So
Is
you've
that
got
Thrawn Ascendancy or
no. This is Heir to the Empire, the Dark Force, and the Last Command. These are Legends books, firm
Oh, okay.
Legends books. But they make out Thrawn to be such an amazing tactician that he took a fleet of 25 Star Destroyers in a time where the New Republic was so built up that they had control of the entire galaxy, and he pushed them back all the way to Coruscant in the core with
I think
so few ships. It's insane. He is such a good tactician, and like Rebels kind of shows that, but they don't
Kinda.
really show how amazing and brilliant he truly is. And then the Ahsoka series ruins him via plot arc.
in the in the books, Thrawn is just like, I don't even know if he's evil. In the books, he's not as like evil as other like leaders of in the Empire.
Yeah, no. And
Like he's not a good guy, but like he's not evil in the way that like Palpatine or Plagueis are.
and that's one of the other things is during these Legends books that he was originally from, it actually shows he cares about his troops, partially because he's got so few of them, but also because they're people. And all that he does within the Empire, and this is both the trilogy, in the Canon trilogy and the Legends trilogy, all that he does is ultimately for the Chiss people and the people of the galaxy. It's not about him in the slightest. And Ahsoka really doesn't show that. Like,
it just ruined him. It's upsetting.
Rebels shows that Thrawn kind of cares about the people a little bit, but it's still, even that kind of ruins him a little bit.
Yeah.
And see, and this is like why I haven't watched Ahsoka yet, because like I've heard so many bad things about it. I'm so scared for me to experience another bad Star Wars.
I think it's worth watching just to see how you feel about it. Like yourself.
Agreed.
That is one thing that you should do, is watch it and then form your own opinion. Try to go in without a bias, but like it's going to be very hard with all of the things you hear all over the place and everything.
I have several bones to pick with the next one.
Yeah. So, it is officially time to move on to, in my opinion, the worst part of Star Wars. The Force Awakens and the entire sequel trilogy.
Okay. Unpopular opinion. The Force Awakens is not that bad.
No, it isn't.
It's really not. But the issues I have with The Force Awakens are, one, it's basically the same movie as A New Hope, where they just
random person
also
from a desert planet shows up, and they shows up to an underdog force, and they end up destroying.
It's literally word for word.
But also, and then they did Captain Phasma dirty in that movie. The Phasma book. Like, there's so much more to the character than just, like, shiny stormtrooper gets thrown down a ventilation shaft.
Yeah.
It's like the only unique thing in it.
Phasma is a really cool person. And then FN2187, Finn.
Should have been the Jedi?
Yes. I really have a bone to pick in this instance, because they set up so much in the first movie about Finn, and then they kind of just... He kind of phases out a little bit in The Last Jedi, but then we see him, twice in Rise of Skywalker?
Yeah.
There's an actual reason for that.
Background character.
There's a reason for that, and this is something that we should acknowledge before going into, and just, I guess, let's be real, ripping apart these next three movies we're going to talk about. But the problem with the new trilogy is that it's two different directors, right? You have Kevin Feige, and who's the other one?
What's his name?
Isn't James Gunn?
He directed some of Walking Dead. Was the other guy?
Okay. The problem is the guy who directed the first one directed the third one, right? And a different guy directed the middle one. The guy who directed the middle one,
wasn't it like J.J. something?
J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
So I don't know which one directed which, but
I know J.J. Abrams directed the Rise of Skywalker.
He was the second one.
Okay, so he was also the first one.
Yes. The thing is that if we had gotten
one direction.
Yeah.
J.J. Abrams wanted to take it one direction, but Kevin Feige wanted to take it a completely different direction. So whenever J.J. Abrams had the role, he was moving it one way. Kevin Feige came in, tried to move it a different way, and then J.J. Abrams came back and tried to move it another way. That's why these movies don't really go well together. And that's the tragedy of Finn, because I think Finn was supposed to have a much bigger role. He's a stormtrooper who defected. That's a really cool concept to follow. But the reason we didn't get it is because Kevin Feige didn't.
The Force Awakens is the best of the three, in my opinion, because
it's far better than the other two.
If we take it at face value, there is so much that could have been done with this trilogy if they had followed the Force Awakens.
Saying this is a great movie is like a teacher taking your test saying, wow, you did really good, even though you copied exactly off of our best person. You know, it reads really good.
Yeah.
Of course it's going to be good. It's a copy of A New Hope.
It's the best work done by the person who's definitely not top of the class.
Yeah.
Because they copied off of the top.
Like, it's the best work done by, like, the 50th percentile of the class.
Yeah.
Spear and say I made the poem. Maybe the best poem I've ever turned in.
Yeah. And that's the thing about it is the best of the sequel trilogy by far and away. But at the same time, it's, for the most part, it's a copy of A New Hope in essence.
Yes.
There are a couple things that if they had taken that and run with it, like Captain Phasma, Finn, if we had taken those aspects and had gone on with them, then it would have created a much different trilogy from the original.
It made it better.
Have you seen the deleted scene with Phasma and Finn?
What happens?
So basically, Phasma, like, climbs out of this hole in the ground, out of, like, a ventilation shaft, and she's, like, not dead, but, like, part of her helmet's missing and shit. And then there's, like, several other, like, stormtroopers there, and Finn essentially convinces the stormtroopers that Phasma was not good to them in a way, and then they, like, start to question what they've been doing the whole time, and then Finn, like, shoots her, and then she, like, goes flying into a hole again and dies.
Yeah, I'm glad they took that out, because I did see Phasma. I love the actress.
The version of the scene, it's clearly like not production quality, because like the special effects and the like Phasma flying through the air looks kind of bad, but see, it's a decent scene. It would have been good.
Movies.
Now, I will say another great character that I think that this movie introduced us to was Poe.
Yes.
Oh, Darren could jump.
Yes.
I think every single person in there besides Rey is left in the dark mostly.
Yeah.
Back
Poe is a good
back when the 41st had a navy, I was a big part of it, right? And like, dude, I loved seeing just like the flying stuff in Star Wars, and Poe was such an awesome dogfighter. Like, it was so cool to watch him.
The dude took out a dreadnought by himself. Like, huh? Well, he took out all the cannons on it. You can't just blow that off.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he didn't get enough.
You have to think, though, Poe Dameron is a New Republic pilot originally. The New Republic pilots were actually trained by the Rebellion pilots. And, like, the Rebellion pilots and the New Republic pilots, they were top of the line, and any of those New Republic pilots could have easily pulled off some of those stunts that Poe Dameron did. But at the same time, he was
also do some shady work, too.
What?
Because I feel like in Rise of Skywalker, I remember them going to the one snowy planet, and then, like, they bring up Poe's past. Does anyone know what I'm talking about?
No.
Nope.
You don't remember when they were like, the one girl that's in red and gold. I don't remember her name.
Oh
That
yes,
had the
that
mask
one.
on.
That part. Yes.
Yeah, I don't. Her name don't really matter.
Yeah. But like I swear they were like he did some like shady work, like smuggling kind of stuff.
Yeah, that too. Like,
Now,
there's so much
another
more
thing-
to him.
Another thing that we do have to give to The Force Awakens credit is that it also came out like how long after Revenge of the Sith?
It's what,
Good question.
2006 to 2015, so 9 years, I think.
And it kind of revitalized a lot of Star Wars, you know? As much as we like to hate on it, and as much as we like to talk crap on this trilogy, it did bring like Star Wars back into the public side.
When he's 15, yeah. Isn't that crazy? It's 9 years old.
Yeah.
Dude,
So,
don't
It
tell
makes
me
me
that.
feel old.
for the,
Yo.
for
Oh,
viewers'
that's
sake,
not.
for viewers' sake, Revenge of the Sith is May 19th, 2005. That's and then The Force Awakens was
That's almost
December
20 years ago.
18th, 2015. It was roughly 10 years from Revenge of the Sith to The Force Awakens.
Did you say 2005?
2005.
Yeah. Just want to say, last movie, D tier. It's definitely better than whatever that is, but it's
Yes.
not good.
It's not It's like barely,
Whatever that is.
but it's not good. You know, it's like could definitely use some more.
I mean, they literally just took two ships in the middle of space and called that a half a movie.
Yeah.
So, D tier,
Yeah.
D tier.
I'm saying The Force
that our first
Awakens. The Force Awakens by itself is better than Ahsoka, and like I would put it if we were just doing The Force Awakens, I would easily put it like mid B tier. But because it's essentially a copy of A New Hope with a couple of extra pieces, it's like it's a C tier at best.
Yeah.
And like it's better than Ahsoka in all fairness.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak on Ahsoka, but I will say that watching that movie in theaters, I did kind of enjoy myself. So D tier?
So
Yeah.
where are we putting The Force Awakens?
D, Delta.
D.
Delta.
Oh, D.
Really?
B?
See?
Did you say B or G? Froggy?
I'm saying Charlie.
I'm saying C as well.
Oh, C. I thought you were saying B. I'm like, yo, we need some justification for a B here, man.
Yeah, I'm thinking that The Force Awakens really belongs in Charlie.
And especially because it fits perfect because it's at the end of Charlie too. It's not like the best of Charlie. It's in the back.
It's
like
not,
Ahsoka.
It's not better than the Phantom Menace, the Attack of the Clones, or the Clone Wars movie, but
Yeah.
in my opinion, it's still better than Ahsoka. Then,
I'll be back in like,
are we doing?
I'll be back in like 3 minutes, y'all.
Are we saying Last Jedi is Delta, and then Rise of Skywalker is Foxtrot?
It's below that. Yeah, basically.
So, I'm going to read it off in order, including the ones that I forgot to add, and everybody's going to say whether or not they agree with it once I'm done. Ready? Revenge of the Sith, Andor, Star Wars The Clone Wars, the series, Rogue One, Bad Batch, that is S tier, in order. A tier is The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, A New Hope, Mandalorian Season 2, Season 1, Season 3. We're kind of combining seasons 1 and 2. That is all of A tier. B tier, Solo, Rebels, Book of Boba Fett, Kenobi. That is all of B tier. C tier, Clone Wars movie, Attack of the Clones, Phantom Menace, Force Awakens, Ahsoka series. That is all of C tier. D tier, The Last Jedi. F tier, Rise of Skywalker. Does everyone agree with that order?
Fits to me.
Yeah.
Doc, you got anything to say about it?
Nope.
Right, so we can
Man, I think Clive went to go take a break or something.
so we can all agree that this is the order we're deciding on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, everybody, this has been episode 1 of Green Theory Season 2. Once again, I'd like to thank Fault for the new name. I am Gravestone.
My name's Tom.
I am Stalker.
Frogger.
I'm fine.
Have a wonderful day, everybody.